Hey you, and welcome back to Never Is Funny, the show where I, Patrick O'Connell, talk to funny people, and hope to God they talk back. This week, I am talking to Ariel Allen-Lubman, aka Boy Jr. Boy Jr. is a singer-songwriter. They have described themselves and been described as alternative, indie, punk, pop, generally undefinable. I'm definable right now as being very ill. And that's why I sound a little rough and husky right now. Although, I don't know. Maybe husky's good. Maybe it's kind of sexy. But, that's why I sound a little rough. But not in the actual episode, don't worry. But yeah, I talked to them about their work, their music, the content they produce, and like always on this show, a billion other things. So, buckle yourself in. Let's go hear what they gotta say. Welcome back to the show, where I talk to comedians in the know. That's right. It's Never As Funny. It's Never As Funny. The show is called Never As Funny. It's the name of the show, by the way. Never As Funny. It's the gist of it, the name. The show's called Never. This is like the title music. It's called Never As Funny. All right. So, welcome to the second episode of Never As Funny for this series. I'm speaking to very exciting musician guest, Ariel Allen-Lubman, aka Boy Jr. I want to say something to you which it only occurred to me today I've never said to a guest before, and I probably should have, which is welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I think this started because I DM'd you over a year ago, probably, back when this was on, like, a university local radio.
Oh, wow, cool.
And over the course of the next few months, I kept being like, something happened, but we'll do it this time, I promise.
Things are always happening. It's a byproduct of being alive.
Definitely. That's very profound. That's a great start. I guess, to start would be, do you want to tell me, I mean, I know who you are, but a lot of my listeners probably will as well, but for the sake of it, would you like to tell us who you are, what kind of stuff you do?
Yeah. So I am Boy Jr., independent artist, songwriter, producer, content creator out of necessity.
Yeah.
Artist. Did I mention that? Artist, not just content creator.
That's a running theme, I think.
Yeah.
I spoke to Derek, the guest I had on a couple of days ago, and he had a very similar thing. Any creative now is kind of a content creator by necessity, I think.
Yeah. Not that I dislike it. I have a lot of fun. I have a lot of silly little ideas. But I think a reality of introducing your work to the world these days is like, you're going to run into people who are like, wow, it's so cool how you made it as a TikTok musician. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't consider having videos that have, I don't know, I wouldn't consider being a TikTok musician what I am, nor would I consider that to be necessarily making it. I have bigger artistic goals. Thank you. And I've been making music for much longer than TikTok has been around.
Absolutely. Yeah. You see the same thing in comedy. You get a lot of people get the label Instagram comedian. Yeah. In this kind of like slightly derogatory way.
Oh my God, that's so silly.
I know.
As though Instagram invented comedy.
Exactly.
Which of course they did. We all know this.
I mean, that's something I'd like to... it's something I find really interesting, talking to everyone here, the balance of that. I mean, obviously you've been doing it for quite a while now, the content creation, the music, longer. Do you feel like you've hit a point now where it's an easy balance, or is it still kind of stressful to get stuff out?
It's an easier balance now than it ever has been in the past, because I have an album that I'm releasing singles for, and trying to, focus more on that. And I think I feel more confident in my, like, legitimate artist work and my, like, quote, serious stuff.
Right.
That I have a lot of ideas. I'm really excited to push that and share that side of myself more than I have in the past. I still have a lot of little silly ideas, but I was doing a much larger portion in the past of these, like, novelty songs about lighthearted ways of venting about stuff.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, just making little jokes, or the videos I was doing where I would just, like, loop an intro to a song, or I was doing the crossover covers, and I think a lot of these things had, like, a lighthearted comedic element, but I kind of languished over the fact that I wasn't nurturing the artist side of things as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
And started to feel crummy about the fact that I was like, I don't feel like I'm putting myself out there as like, hey, I'm a serious artist. I'm kind of a silly person, but like, I am not a musical comedian.
Yes.
I would not be able to do that if I tried to. If somebody was like, come to a stand-up set, I would be like, you're joking. And I felt like I'm not taking myself seriously enough as, you know, quote unquote serious artist. And I fear that others are not taking me serious or don't know that serious side as much.
Yes.
And I feel like I opted to take a little bit of a plunge into leaning more heavily into that. And, you know, I was like, I'm going to notice a drop in, you know, these videos aren't going to like, quote, perform as well. I'm probably going to like lose some followers and have a dip in views, and that'll make me feel like I'm a failure for a little while.
Yeah.
But for the long-term effect of finding the right people who my music resonates with, who also can get down with the silly guy vibes.
Yeah.
Is more important than, you know, tiring myself out coming up with concept after concept of like silly song that I don't feel like is 100% indicative of who I am on the whole.
Yeah, definitely. And I would assume, I don't know much about, I was going to say music, but even really content creation in general is something I'm new to. But I would imagine, I mean, when that was more something you were doing, putting out skits or like a heavier volume of silly songs, I guess. Like, if, I don't know, you got X number of views on that, was there a lot of crossover to the main music that you actually wanted to promote?
No. And that's where I've been feeling like, I'm a failure, I'm not a real artist, oh, I'm not making it as a musician, I'm not making it as a funny person on the internet, what am I doing? Yeah, I definitely think that overall, what content creation is for anybody who's making like serious art they care about is you're casting a wide net and sharing a piece of yourself that hopefully will reach the right people who were meant to find your music and have that resonate with them anyway.
Yeah.
But there definitely was not a one-to-one crossover. I wish more people listened to my stuff like on Spotify. But also I'm at a point right now where like I'm not as proud of the work that I have out at the moment as I will be in a couple of months when I have that new album out. And I feel like I'm playing catch up because I spent a lot more time focusing on the socials side of things than I did on just sharing new music. I have so much unreleased music and so much I want to do, but I want everything I do. You know, it's like you want everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
The frustration of like, I have, you know, sort of surrendered to like, I'm going to put out some content that is not going to perform as well, but it will be there anytime for anybody to discover. That just helps build the picture of like, I'm a real artist. I'm a real boy.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, there was plenty of times I had like a novelty song or video blow up and tried to redirect like, hey, if you like that, you know what else you might like? My real music. And I would do that, but like, I still have there's quite a disparity between my internet followers and monthly Spotify listeners.
Yeah.
Which is a sore spot for me, somebody who holds myself to a stupid, impeccable standard and measures myself in numbers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I haven't found the day yet where I've met someone doing any of this stuff who hasn't got that, which is fucking terrible, obviously. But it's so hard not when you're surrounded by everyone and we're all in that boat. Yeah. It's really hard to take a step back and be like, okay, I'm going to focus on doing what I want to do. Yes. And not just chasing numbers, because that's the message you get the whole time. Yes.
Well, and I think at the core of it, the chasing the numbers is also a reflection of the fear of lack of stability in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, getting a bunch of views on a funny video is great and awesome. And when you make something that touches people, it's amazing. But I also have big fears about like surviving and being able to utilize my skill set to make a living. And a big part of that is going to be finding people who care about this music and want to support it long term.
Yeah.
And, you know, just the fact that we're in the streaming age and the algorithm age, and it doesn't matter how good your art is. I mean, whatever constitutes good art, but it doesn't matter how skilled you are and talented you are as a writer or a producer or a performer. You have to connect with people, which is great because that's a very enjoyable thing to do, and I like doing that.
Yeah, but it's a very different game.
The fear is totally there of like, oh, my Spotify numbers dipped this week. That means I'll never make it in music and be able to be a real musician. Yeah.
Oh, very much the same. I mean, with this show, it's very, especially at the minute starting out, because I personally don't really have any following.
Yeah.
The listens I get are very dependent on the guests I have, which is great. It also means my demographic is very, very weird.
Yeah.
So I had on a guest last series who's a good friend of mine, a Welsh history YouTuber, which is a very specific niche.
Yeah.
But at the time, he also wildly the most like followers out of anyone I'd had on.
Yeah.
Which meant that for a period of about 2 weeks, my demographic was like exclusively people who watched Welsh history YouTube.
Cool.
Which is a lot of people, and it was great, but it also meant that the next time an episode came out, which wasn't a Welsh history YouTuber,
right.
Every other episode I released, there's a huge drop. And it's really hard to wrap your head around, especially, I don't know if you found this, but like when you're going through the whole growth thing.
Yeah.
The second you hit higher numbers, the appreciation you have for any number below that is just gone.
Oh my God. No, yeah, it's mind twisting.
Yeah.
And then when I've gone through periods of big dips, I'm like, oh, I didn't appreciate those mid-level numerical accomplishments when I had them. I'll never take you for granted again. 10,000 views on Instagram Reels. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you ever find yourself thinking, though, like, past me would be jealous of present me?
Interesting. I think it depends on...
Or proud. I mean, proud is also an option.
Yeah. I think past me was very much like, yeah, I'm going to go to university and I'm going to ace it. And then I'm going to get a job. And then I'll do something creative on the side.
Yeah.
And then that ended up not going super, super well.
Yeah.
So I think past me would be like happy that I'm doing something I enjoy, but they'd also be a little bit like, dude, where's your real job? This isn't it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I know for me, when I look at like the just obsession with numbers,
yeah,
I'll be like, oh, I'm not doing what I want to be doing and I could be better. I think about like me even like releasing anything on DSPs. I would be so annoyed with myself if I heard someone complaining about like, oh, I only get this amount of views. I would be like, I would kill for that many views. You don't know how good you have it.
Yeah, that is extremely true, actually. Yeah, 100%. I mean, okay, speaking of the new stuff you got coming out.
Yeah.
So I know very little about the music industry in general.
Yeah.
So if I ask a question that is just too boring to answer, then feel free to kind of skim over it.
Totally fine. No boring questions, yeah.
But like, where are you at in the process for that, and what is the process? You mentioned you've released some like singles for it.
Yeah. So in April, I released I Hope You Feel Terrible, which is going to be the first single.
Yes.
Which is the first single off of an album called I Love Getting Dumped.
Yeah. That
I should be putting out in October. I'm going to be releasing another single later this month. And then I think something else in August and something else in September. And the whole album is all breakup songs from various relationships and situationships and what have you since like 2020.
Right.
So it spans a long period of time. There's it's pretty eclectic in terms of influence and different kind of genre hopping, but it's all united under the umbrella of me being broken up with.
Yeah.
And my feelings about it. So, I mean, overall process is really like I make everything. You can probably see my speakers and some guitars behind me, and
yes, I'd noticed.
Just record everything on my laptop and polish, produce, mix, and master everything over the course of many months or years in this case.
Right.
And I've done different things for different releases. With this release, I am releasing through a distribution platform called Vidya.
Okay.
Via a music marketing agency called The Syndicate, where I also do part-time marketing work. So it's really cool getting to like work with the people I work with.
That is very cool.
For the music. It's really, really neat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is hardly, super, super formal, I guess. I'm not like signed to a label, but this is the first time that I've had people other than me involved in the actual process of releasing it. In the past, it's like I upload it to either DistroKid or Level just through their website, and then it gets sent off to DSPs, and you can put in a pitch to Spotify to pitch your song to playlists, which they probably never look at or consider because I don't think that it's democratic the way that we want to believe it is in the streaming age. I think things are still like
100%.
Okay, well, not to be like, no, I was about to be like, not to be like shitting on the industry, but like,
I was gonna say I'm happy to.
I mean, every artist is in the same boat of being screwed over by people at the top of big companies. We're in a very interesting time with that.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm worried about Daniel Ek or whatever, the Spotify CEO, hearing this and be like, oh, Boy Jr. insulted me. Daniel Ek, you've got a stinky personality. You smell on the inside.
That's all right. I'll just, if I get worried about like health impact, I'll just edit in myself saying great over the word wacky or something, and it'll be great. We all get it, so don't worry about it.
But yeah, there's various distribution platforms that actually handle the, I don't know, like the metadata side of things of getting the songs onto places like Spotify and Apple Music and Deezer, YouTube Music, etc. There's so many music platforms out there. Tidal.
Napster.
I still put everything out on Bandcamp and SoundCloud, and then it's out, and then promote it like hell.
Yeah.
And hope that it touches people emotionally.
It's very exciting. I mean, I'm a huge fan of... I've liked your music for a while.
Thank you.
I hadn't listened to the new I Hope You Feel Terrible until this week. But yeah, I'm a really big fan. I find a lot of your stuff... There's something very neurodivergently scratchy in my brain whenever I listen to some of it.
Thank you.
Particularly like...
Thank you so much.
I remember the first one that really stuck with me was Chartreuse, I think.
Thank you.
I don't know anything about music theory, so I can't like... There's just a part that goes like, wow, 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 like that. And it feels really good in my mind.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, a lot of what drives my like sound design choices is just like messing around in Logic and experimenting with the tools I have to try and make something that is brain scratchy and exciting and just feels good to listen to or feels good to play or feels good to sing or say. So that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited for more. I'm really interested in the fact that you said this is your first time like properly working with a bunch of people to put something out.
Yeah.
Is that all great, or do you ever find it a bit... Because I know the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
I love working with other people, but also the second I do, there's a part of me that's like, no, I want to make my decisions. I don't want to talk to anyone else. Have you found...
I think that's a big reason why, well, no, I was going to say a big reason why I've never, like, worked with a team. It's also just, like, opportunities come when they come. This has been ideal so far.
Right.
I mean, it's really just having help to lay out a timeline and make some deadlines for myself. Amazing. Love that. In terms of the actual creative process of making music, I've been trying to work with other people more when I can.
Yeah.
But I am so in the routine of working with myself. I always feel like I'm like collaborating with myself because I will space things out when I work on them and start a track at one point and come back to it months or sometimes like a year later.
Yeah.
And I'm so in the habit of doing that. Even when I listen to something and I'm like, oh man, like I know this needs some extra polishing. I feel like I need somebody else's brain on this. I pretty much always wind up just giving it some time and then coming back to it and figuring it out myself.
Yes, yeah.
Which is simultaneously frustrating, but also feels really good to be like, yeah, I did this.
Absolutely.
I know what I'm doing. But in terms of having other brains on the planning side of things, I love that. There's so much that an independent artist has to keep track of.
Yeah, of course.
This has been stellar, honestly.
Right. That's very cool. Definitely the planning side of things. How many people are we talking in the brain group?
For the most part, so like working with label services through the syndicate, I mostly work with a team of 2 people, and it's just like We will
Right.
keep an email thread going. Sometimes just hit each other up in Slack because working there. And I'm working with one other person for PR for these singles.
Okay.
And she has been fantastic. And that's pretty much the extent of it. I mean, I also work with a DIY booking agent for booking my shows, and that's been a huge load off of
Yeah, I can imagine.
the live side of things. Booking shows is overwhelming for me, at least.
Yes.
And then my sibling does all the graphics for Boy Junior stuff, and so I just go bother them, and I, just go to their room and like,
yes.
Terry, did you finish the album
I've seen
artwork
that.
yet? Hey, can you come on tour and play drums with me? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen some stuff about that. So I did a little bit of just like Googling around. I came across an article.
Yeah.
And it said your sibling, Carrie?
Yeah.
That they do the art and everything for all of it.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Have you been, like, the Boy Junior project, have you guys worked on that together since the start?
Yeah. I feel like, honestly, the Kickstarter event for me being like, okay, this is my artist name, I'm taking it seriously now, is, well, I needed to, like, make up a name for myself to play a show in school one time, and I had been thinking about Boy Junior for a while,
Right.
and I was like, that would be cool. Yeah, I don't want to perform under my real name. I want to do Boy Junior, and I was like, Carrie, can you whip up some kind of logo so I can put it on the Facebook page? And like, just having a little graphic, a little thing that said Boy Junior is like, yeah, it's real.
No.
It has a visual identity. Let's go.
That's so true.
So yeah, I mean, Carrie's been really involved in all of it from the beginning.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
The style of it, all of it is really cool, I think, as well. Like, you have, like, a distinctive style in the outfits you wear in, like, stuff you do to promote your music and things like that. I was curious about, is that part of, like, the Boy Junior aesthetic, or is that just your personal style?
I think it's definitely both. I mean, at this point, because I live so much of my life inside, in my room.
Yeah.
Putting things together to make videos or play shows is kind of like my outlet for getting to wear things and present in fun experimental ways I don't get to usually, because when I was growing up, I dressed chaotically to school.
Right.
I dressed up for school. In like middle school and high school, I was teased for it a lot because I wore like glamorous stuff, and I would copy outfits in like 17 magazine, and like that was my excitement for going to school. It was like I really like got through having to wake up early every day and just being burnt out from being a person and doing work by like planning my outfits every week. That was what I was waking up for.
Right.
And that was such a big part of like my daily juice to like get moving, and like that's not as big a part of my life every day anymore because I'm not going out and doing stuff. I would never bother wearing the stuff that I used to wear. Like I don't do tights anymore. I would never wear tights anymore. But I would wear stuff for hours I was physically uncomfortable in because I was like, it's the look, it's the vibe. Now I'm like, I will change my clothes 3 times a day because I'm like, nope, something about this shirt, I'm sick of the way it's feeling. I gotta change.
Very much.
Like I want to be comfy all the time. But I will put together funky stuff for videos and shows, or on the rare occasion if I go out and do stuff. But I definitely feel like the project is a vehicle for me to continue experimenting and, be a means of self-expression and communication and relation to others.
Yeah, definitely. That's very cool. Okay, just looking at time, so I think now is a good time to do a little middle break section.
Yeah.
So with your choice, I don't know, but I assume that maybe like for it to be one of your own songs.
Yeah, I mean that would definitely make it easier with licensing because go ahead. I'm not going to tell anybody.
Excellent. Yeah, in that case, which of your songs would you like to launch?
I mean, I feel like it probably should be I Hope You Feel Terrible. Honestly, for a dramatic reading, that's going to be your money song.
One of my favorite ones I did recently was I had a guest choose Good Luck Babe, which is obviously a great song.
Yeah.
But with me delivering it in my
That's so funny.
Dry ass monotone cis guy voice, it just sounds like an incel complaining about like,
you can kiss 100 boys in bars.
Yeah, exactly.
You sure can.
But yeah, I'm very excited to do this because I love this song.
Yay.
It's going to be a neurodivergent fixation for me for a while, I think.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
But is there, I'm sure we'll probably talk about it more after the break specifically, but is there like any specific things you'd like to introduce it as?
I Hope You Feel Terrible is a song by Boy Jr., who is me, by the way.
What?
It's out everywhere. It's the first single off of an album called I Love Getting Dumped that will be out later this year. And you should play it on a big boombox outside the residential area of somebody who made you feel like crap.
Absolutely. And ideally with pebbles to toss at the window, I think.
Absolutely. It's a necessity.
The image. All right. Well, brilliant. So here comes that, or my personal cover of it.
Sweet.
Alrighty, welcome to the middle section of the show. You guys know the drill by now. This is the part where I perform a dramatic reading of a song of my guest choice. Now, if you've been listening, like the good little listener I know you are, then you'll know all about Boy Jr.'s new song, I Hope You Feel Terrible, available on all streaming platforms now. I really love this song. Like I said, I've been listening to it like a hyperfixation. It's really good. And it is going to dominate my Spotify rap this year. But you know what? Enough about them. This isn't their show. This is my show. And I want to talk about me. I want to talk about my heartbreak. I want to talk about my 14th century Anglo-Saxon harlot of an ex-girlfriend. Fuck you, Besmilda. So, without further ado, this is my rendition of the incomparable Boy Jr.'s I Hope You Feel Terrible. Thou raised me out of the rejection I had drowned in, and held my hand and made the water into fountains. And I thought I had it. I finally had it, that close companionship that turns the skies unclouded. And then I blinked, and suddenly thou art feeling distant. It's nothing personal. The novelty wore off a bit, and I shouldn't blame thee. Thou art just human. But so am I, and I can't lie. I hope you feel terrible. I hope you want to cry when confronted with a memory of cozy movie nights. I hope thou cannot stand the comfort of the slippers that I bought thee. Can't stand imagining me crying, but I want thou to feel terrible. I hope thou feel as terrible as me. It feels so silly, 'cause thou know that I still love thee, and it feels silly, 'cause it won't make thee attracted to me again. But let me have my moment, my silly little moment, to scream into my pillow, roll down the window, in hopes thou will hear it from your house. Don't get me wrong, of course, thou art valid for your feelings, but my abandonment-y issues need some healing. I hope our therapists help us. And I shouldn't say it out loud, but I hope you feel terrible. I hope you want to cry. I hope thou feel as terrible as me. Cuss you, Besmilda! Alright then, if you'd like to go listen to the original song, like I said, it's available on all streaming platforms. And back to the show.
And we are live.
Excellent. I'm glad that we're not actually live, to be honest, because when I started doing this, it was live.
Oh, that must have been so stressful. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not built for that.
Yeah.
Like, the ability with editing this to be able to, like, cut out all of the uhs and big gaps and repeated words that I'm doing right now is fantastic. I sound so much more professional. It's lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to ask, bouncing off the kind of question about style and how much of that was you and how much of that is Boy Jr. In general, I'm kind of curious, do you think of, I love referring it to as this sounds very cool, the Boy Jr. project. Do you think of that as that's just you making your music, or is it a persona, like a character at all?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm really leaning more toward, like, it's pretty much just me.
Yeah.
I think what is more like a more personified element is the fact that hyperbole, or I don't know, maybe a little bit of like world building, or just like campiness and cheesiness can be artistic tools.
Right.
Like, it's not me fully to my core in the sense of, like, the sentiment behind the song I Hope You Feel Terrible is not a literal thought for thought
Right.
reflection of my entire experience of processing a relationship.
Yeah.
I think we're very used to taking art and music at the same face value of all content, which sometimes is like fully anecdotal.
Yeah.
But, you know, when people have taken some of my content about I Hope You Feel Terrible, like fully literally, it's kind of funny.
Oh, right.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating when people have been like, this is a horrible attitude to have. You sound so bitchy and petty. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, this is a bitchy and petty song. That's the point.
I don't. That surprises. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me because it's the internet. But like,
yeah,
have these people never listened to music before? Like,
right. It's like, I don't know. It's like when you listen to like a hardcore metal song.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is how people think and talk and interact literally constantly? Do you have any concept of like art as a tool of like music as a tool of processing and venting emotions? Like, I don't know. Just, do you think that when the Carrie Underwood song about like keying a guy's car because he cheated, do you think that she is like a literal threat to property damage constantly?
I mean, it does add a lot to that song, I think, if you take it literally.
Do you think that SZA is literally going to kill her ex?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cliche thing to say, but I think part of it as well is that it's yet another thing where just straight up cis mailers don't like get that as much.
Totally.
Like, I don't know, the whole one thing that's been really funny lately is the Eminem releasing his new song and a bunch of millennials online doing the like, oh, Gen Z can't handle this, he's back. And they try to cancel him, and nobody tried to cancel because nobody cares. Everybody gets that it's just it's a series of dumb jokes.
Yeah.
That aren't really that funny anymore also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's bizarre. I think there are a lot of people out there just looking for a reason to dig into someone.
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, this is something that gets discussed in my life a lot, and especially this week because I have been listening to another podcast called 16th Minute of Fame. And then because I was discussing that with a friend, they sent me kind of a video essay on outrage media.
Oh, cool.
And just all of this stuff was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's being put into words so excellently. Just, especially in recent years, just in this engagement algorithm version of the internet, we're in this bizarre time where people just sharing their personal life updates or tidbits about something that they are experiencing, everything is seen as this grander statement to the reality in which we live.
Yeah.
And like the podcast I listened to, 2 recent episodes were on the dress.
Yeah.
You know, the blue, black, white, gold dress.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
how like indicative that was of a bygone era of the internet. And then very soon after that, we kind of entered another era of like, not a lot of content goes viral now, or news or media goes viral for people just being like, people on all sides, all spectrums being like, huh, how bizarre.
Right, yeah.
The ability of human perception to perceive things in different ways. I mean, so much now that is consumed and shared is polarizing, outrage baiting, not literally everything, but an episode about, I think like 2 episodes after that, was about a tweet that went viral of a woman talking about how nice it is that every morning she and her husband drink coffee in their garden and talk about anything and everything, and she's so grateful to be married to her best friend, and that this is such a beautiful thing about life. Really sweet.
Yeah.
And people went nuts. And then she wasn't like an influencer. Like, she was just like sharing this for like her friends and like small community.
Yeah.
And the tweet breached containment and like got comments from people like of all angles of how awful it is, like
haven't you ever considered that other people don't have this kind of privilege where they are friends with their partner and have a garden and have time to drink coffee? This was an inconsiderate thing to say. Oh, shoot. It has not been recording my voice.
We got audio again.
Awesome. You were talking about
people being outraged online.
That was it. Yeah, the comment, the tweet.
Yeah. It was such a marvelous example of how bananas things are online right now. And, you know, as easy as it is to blame individuals, I think what's also very much at play and very much worth discussing is this climate that we are in online.
Yeah.
And sort of what we've been forced into, that every platform we use is meticulously designed to keep us very interested and involved and engaged and addicted. And this post was just another example of like how easy it is to get people involved in kind of meaningless discussions and fired up about something because it's just shown to them.
Yeah.
We're all primed to have emotional reaction to things because we're people, but when we are subjected to the opinions and the content of like everybody else on Earth, because platforms used to be like, you choose who you follow and what you see, and you curate your online experience.
Yes,
now,
exactly.
It's not, and I think we have a specific brand of people. I mean, just there's a section of the internet who is online to hate watch.
Oh, massively, yeah.
And, you know, when I get people commenting on my stuff who are like not there with their full mind, you know, people are just like, ew, you have pimples. It's like, we care about that?
Yeah, it's wild.
And they're like, ew, what is that thing? Your music sucks. It's like, you probably don't like music at all in general, first of all.
Of course you have dyed hair and pronouns.
Oh, right. It's like...
It's a classic one.
There was one comment I got on Threads that was like, your pronouns are showing. It's like, yeah, they sure are. They are publicly in my bio. If you think I am making music that would potentially appeal to people who are against putting pronouns in your bio.
Yeah, exactly.
If you think it's going to hurt me, that it's like, oh no, he didn't like that I have pronouns. That is bizarre. You are in the wrong, you just walked into the wrong party.
Exactly. They're always walking in the wrong party, and they always insist on staying there.
Yes.
It's bizarre.
And I feel like that is such a modern thing. I feel like, I mean, there was never like a time where everything was like so perfect, but you know, it used to be more of a normal thing that it's like when you come across something that you're not into, you don't watch it.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
There's always been trolls and assholes and bigots, but like I mention this to people all the time, and people all the time are like, I come across stuff I don't like. I come across music that's just not my thing, or I don't like it, and I don't think twice about just moving on to the next thing because I come online to hear and see things I enjoy. And I think there's a lot of people who go online and don't even like content, spend a lot of time consuming content, but they don't like content creators. They don't like people who are trying to be entertaining.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Or if they do, they only like a very specific style of entertainment. And it's usually, I feel like it's very jaded. It's very not based in fact or reality. Like another thing that came up in the video I was watching on Outrage Media. This guy was bringing up a Breitbart article that was literally false. Like literally had false information, as often they do. And somebody in this live stream mentions like, hey, you don't have all the facts. This is really misinforming and sparking outrage on something that did not happen. And the guy said in his live stream, I don't care. This is entertainment. It doesn't have to be factual, even though it's like you are running a news-based, you're talking about news, whatever.
Yeah.
This is the kind of person I would not want to be in the same room with.
Oh, absolutely.
But I feel like I'm running into that more and more, not just on my content and the stuff that I watch. The expectation is just when you come across an Instagram reel and it's gone super viral, I know I won't look at comments now because I get so bent out of shape about how mean people are about stuff that does not matter.
I've had to actively stop. I mean, bizarrely enough, it's a comment that helped me out because I was scrolling through one thing and there was a comment that was like, hey, I know you're looking for hate comments right now. You don't need to do that. And that genuinely like stuck in my brain.
That's
and
fantastic.
I've made a bit more of an effort not to do that.
Fantastic.
But it is like, I don't know why it's so addictive to do. I would find a reel.
Yeah.
And I would enjoy it. But immediately I would be like, there are going to be people I don't like who are really angry about this, who are going to be saying horrible things. And I got to go and find them now. I got to see what it is.
Yeah.
And then obviously the algorithmic thing of when you start doing that, the algorithm's like, oh, you like this. Okay.
Yep.
And so it promotes it to you.
Yep. I hate how Reels will, toward the end of the video, they will show you a top comment on the video itself. So even if you don't go into the comments, something pops up, which will sometimes be a form of rage baiting in and of itself because it doesn't always show you the top comment. Because a lot of times the top comment is something normal and nice.
Yeah.
It will show you something that's 3 comments down that says some literal hate speech that gets people talking.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's such a fascinating snapshot of human behavior because as much as it's like, wow, people suck, it's also like, well, we also are being corralled into these situations that bring out these inherent phenomenons of how our brains work and how we want to get involved in conversations. And like, this doesn't have to be how social media platforms are designed. This is a result of putting profit over all else.
Oh, 100%.
If the values of society and humankind were different, if we weren't like in a capitalist system, I mean, even, you know what, I don't even say, like, I do feel like it comes down to a values thing. Like, yes, it's because of capitalism, but also it's because in any circle, you're going to find individuals who want to seek out power and greed and control.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people were wired differently or just whatever the circumstances. This is not how it has to be.
Oh, absolutely.
And there was a time before when, like, you would go on your feed and see what your friends were up to, and that's mostly it.
Yes. I saw a thing recently. I don't know if you've had, I mean, I assume you will have because, you know, it's a big part of your job.
Yeah.
But I saw a creator on Instagram complaining about how the way the algorithm work had shifted so that following creators doesn't really make that much difference anymore. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's true. Because there are a bunch of people I follow and I just don't see anything they post, like comedians, artists, musicians that I really like. Mm-hmm. But the fact that I follow them their stuff doesn't get promoted to me any more than anything else.
Very much the case on TikTok. Definitely Instagram too, which is frustrating as I'm, you know, launching new work and putting out an album. I wish 122,000 people saw the things I post every time. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who followed me at one point because of some other video in the past who don't see my work anymore and would love it if they saw it. And that's a huge bummer for them and for me. And it's just nuts how we're all in this same boat, and it winds up just always becoming pay to play. Pay to tell your followers. Pay to tell the people who elected to follow you because they said, I like what this person does. I want to keep up with it. Pay to get their attention and let them know that you're putting out new work. Yeah,
exactly. I'm curious about, because obviously that seems to be a big part of where you get your following from. I mean, you play, obviously a not super useful say, you play shows, you're a musician, but do you find much success getting a following off the internet?
Yes, absolutely.
That's great.
When I have these conversations with other artists in my life and in my world who are, you know, also very online, but do things in the meat space, what we always talk about, what it always comes down to is nothing beats a real life experience. Yeah. And that we all feel the best thing to come out of all this nonsense of being in this internet age and promoting online is that we've met each other. Right, definitely. And we've met amazing people through these connections and through going out into the real world and doing stuff. And nothing takes the cake like playing a show. And the way that this is able to happen and really build up is like when I have teamed up with other people who are in my sphere. Like, you know, recently going on tour with Jer and Vile, opening for them for a couple of shows when they did a co-headline tour in the winter. And then this spring, we opened for Vile for a couple of dates, and it was wonderful. I mean, just nothing beats being out in the world with people you like.
Yes.
I mean, even tours where I've done where it's like smaller shows, nothing beats being out and doing stuff with people you like being around. And even shows that aren't the biggest money makers, when you're in a room with people who really care about what is going on,
yes,
and are interested in the big picture of the art, and want to have a laugh, and also want to listen to the serious stuff, and also can appreciate the experimental music-y bits. It's grounding, and I think it helps one take a step back and look at the big picture of like, this is also part of life.
Yes.
Life is not just going through the comments on your most recent video and either being disappointed in how few you got or being disappointed in how many of the comments are about how crooked my teeth are.
Right, yeah.
You know, there's a whole world of people out there. And I'm very grateful for the experiences that I've had that have been able to kind of redirect me and make me remember it's not all terrible.
Yeah, definitely.
I just hope I hope I can experience more of it.
Yeah.
I hope to get out to other places too. I mean, it's limiting what I can do as an independent individual, but I'm going to try and do like multiple small legs of touring when this album comes out and get out to the West Coast and eventually do European shows. But my God, I'm scared of the price tag.
Oh God, yeah.
But it'll happen.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm in a similar boat. Like, at the moment, my big goal will be to get up to Edinburgh Fringe again.
Yeah.
And just the price tag on that is wild alone. But it's definitely cool. I mean, that thing of seeing real people, especially real people who are enjoying what you're doing.
Yes.
I mean, the whole thing of dealing with hate watchers. I mean, you don't really have a lot of people who are buying tickets to see you, who are there to, I don't know, complain. And so it must be great to be like, oh, these are all real people and they're all here to listen to me.
It's a great reminder of how, like, the real world actually, like, is. There's a post that I've seen going around that's, like, people on the internet, and it'll be a screenshot of, like, some buck wild discourse on Twitter from, like, super specific argument or, like, some really wild hate comment that, like, it's like, why would you say that to another person? That is so weird. And then versus people in real life. Hey man, how's it going?
Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, I've seen it. It's so fucking true though. Touring in general, what's that like? I mean, very broad question, but like, do you enjoy that experience compared to other things? Is it tiring, exhilarating?
It is one of my favorite and least favorite things in the whole world.
Right, yeah.
Now that I am a little more experienced, just in terms of the day in, day out, and I have a better sense of what my needs are and how I need to accommodate myself and how I need to ask for accommodations.
Yeah.
It's a lot less anxiety inducing than it used to be. But I have always had like a really big anxiety issue with traveling.
Right.
You know, given certain circumstances, just being out on my own, just issues with, I didn't like doing sleepovers with friends because I didn't like not being in my own bed.
Right, yeah.
And there's definitely an acceptance and attitude shift that I still think needs to happen in the world of live music, and especially like DIY music, that like things could be more neurodivergence friendly.
Oh, massively.
Even just the attitude of like, you gotta grind it out, you gotta, you know, just the expectation that like, you gotta do grueling work to be on the road, and it's a privilege to even, you know, get to play to very few people in a room with poor ventilation where, you know, just not that it's all bad, not to like just complain, but like my list of grievances is long because I have standards and needs, and other people do too. And it's what I used to be really stressed about as a younger person was that in order to make it in music, I have to be down to stay up really late, drink, but you know, I don't like, weed makes me incredibly anxious. I don't smoke weed.
Right.
But, you know, I had a lot of insecurities about like, I'm not cool. I don't want to smoke weed after the gig and party and hang out until really late at night. I need to go to sleep.
Yes, yeah.
I can't function without that regular schedule. Like biologically, I will get ill and then I can't do what I need to do. And letting go of that fear of like disappointing people. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go out after the show. No, I don't want to stick around and always talk for very long. It's very hard for me to talk to a lot of people before a gig or sometimes after a gig and not strain my voice. Or more recently, masking at shows and the discourse around masking and the expectation that when you're going to go out on the road, you are going to get sick and you have to play a show while you're sick. And it's okay. And like, it's nuts.
It really is.
I got COVID on my first headline tour.
Oh, God.
And it was just me and Carrie traveling in our tiny little car in, like, Texas. And first Carrie got bronchitis, and then I got COVID, and we were in, like, North Carolina and had to drive back for 2 days, and it was traumatic. I mean, it was...
Yeah.
There was extreme stuff going on in my body, and it was really scary, and it took me a long time to recover. I don't know that I've literally, truly ever been the same since. I think it has changed my body permanently.
Yeah.
Getting it twice in 1 year didn't help either. But the fact that now artists are expected to risk their physical health even more so to play shows where there's no guarantee they'll get paid is like, this is silly.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, what you said about being more neurodivergent friendly, to me is mental because, I mean, it's really similar in my experience with the comedy industry so far. Like, lots of pressure. You do the show, and then you have to talk to people after. You have to talk to other people who are doing shows because you got to network.
Yeah. Oh, the networking.
And you got to put on a face. But most of the people that I've met doing all this stuff have been neurodivergent in some way.
Yeah.
So why the hell are we not? Why are we all doing this?
Yes.
It's wild. I
love when I've done shows and like people who come to the show when like there's just the crowd it's people who get it. And like, I don't know, when we did a show and we were running merch and somebody we talked to was just like, sorry, I have a hard time. It's hard to look at you and talk. It's hard, just hard to make eye contact and talk. And like, sorry, I'm not all that comfortable talking to people, but I wanted to tell you I liked this set. Or somebody just being like, I'm not really great with segueing into ending a conversation, so I'm just going to leave. And me and Carrie looked at each other. We both said to each other like, God, I wish that were more acceptable.
I know. I do love when people do. I mean, it makes it easier for you as well to kind of respond in turn. I had this great memory of me and a friend of mine went to see a comedy show, and they came out afterwards, and we were both kind of standing next to each other. We're both quite socially awkward.
Yeah.
We were both going, oh, we should go over and talk to them. I don't know how to do this. We're both awkward. All right, okay, we'll do it. And then while we were discussing it, someone walked right past us, this person I also know, improv comedian, and they walked right up to the whole group and were like, hey guys, just so you know, I'm really autistic, so I'm not great at conversation, but I just want to say hi. And like, it was just perfect. And it went like incredibly well. Yeah. Probably again, because probably most of the people on that stage were also neurodivergent.
Right. Well, this is an amazing thing that I am so grateful that people talk about more. Like a post I saw going around recently that was like, really sick artists, amazing artists who make stuff that changes the game, really meaningful, cool shit, are not meant to be making content. Like their example was like, could you imagine Tom York being like, did I just write the song of the summer? No! Bjork wasn't meant to make content.
Oh, absolutely.
But this expectation that like artists are meant to like go, fuck off to the woods and make a weird piece of work and like are notoriously socially awkward.
Yes.
Because sometimes you just need to be. Why is this not acceptable?
It's really wild. But yeah, I definitely, something that feels like it is shifting somewhat, I hope. I mean, it's possible it's partly my own bubble, but
yeah, me too.
Majority of people I've spoken to recently have been very open about it.
Yeah.
This is really annoying. I hate doing this, but partly because the Zoom call's ending, partly because format of a podcast, I have to be like, all right, let's wrap it up, which is a shame because this is a great conversation. I'm really enjoying this.
You know what? I feel like conversationally cleansed. We talked about so many things that I think so much about, and it feels great.
That's really good. I have had multiple people on this At least 2 or 3 people now say that this felt like some kind of therapy session.
Oh, yeah. No, it's great to talk to other people about this stuff. I mean, it's just, I think, another example of, like, leaving the, like, content mill and the constant trying to outdo yourself and just, like, having a conversation with somebody. It's great.
Absolutely.
It's good for you.
Thank you. I mean, it's great for me because it's a lot easier because it's...
Yeah.
I can say that, it's a professional choice to have a relaxed conversation and not I'm inexperienced in running something.
Yeah. No, it's so organic. It's great.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, this is the part of the show where I play like an example of your work. I've already done my butchering of your song.
Awesome.
And obviously we'll get to plugging the rest of your work after this, but this is just a response you gave to a hate comment, which I saw recently, and I thought it was really good. I just fucking hilarious. And yeah, I think you guys should just listen to it now. So here it comes. And now it's played. So, yes, I mean, I would love for you to go ahead and plug your stuff. Obviously, the dynamic of following at the minute, very much more beneficial for me than for you. But still, I would love for you to tell my audience.
All good. I mean, I'm happy to get to, introduce the Boy Junior verse to anybody new who will listen.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Boy Junior is on all streaming platforms. It's BOYJR, period. Not junior like the word, like the abbreviation. I'm Boy Junior official on Instagram, Boy Junior .69 on TikTok. I mean, you can search Boy Junior on any platform and find the music on any streaming platform and find the social media platforms anywhere. And then on all of those, I've got a link tree that links out to all the other social media platforms. I also have a Patreon.
Excellent.
I'm available for hire as a producer or to do one-on-one consultations and talk about your project, be it in a musical sense or a marketing sense. What else do I do? That's kind of it at the moment. That's kind of it. I just do a little bit of everything. That's all.
I was going to say, I mean, again, very normal for people in this industry to be like, yeah, I guess that's all I do after they list like every possible creative pursuit. It's still not enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic. Definitely check all of that out. But yeah, this has been a great conversation. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Everybody, go and listen to I Hope You Feel Terrible right now and all the new music that's going to be coming out.
Yippee!
And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. That always feels like a weirdly narcissistic thing to say to someone. Alright, thank you for making it all the way to the end of the show. You can follow the show on Instagram at NeverIsFunny, all one word, all lowercase. The music used for the intro and outro is There It Is by Kevin MacLeod at Comtech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0, licensed creativecommons.org/licenses/by/4.0. Our guest for next week will be Adrian Gray of Forgotten History. Thank you for listening again. See you next week.